A dog sleeping beside you is one of the clearest signs of loyalty we overlook every day. It's a behavior so ordinary, we rarely stop to ask what it actually means to them. Yet behind that simple act is a mix of instinct, emotion, and memory that goes far deeper than comfort. And once you understand it, you may never see bedtime the same way again. Keep watching, because the reason they choose you is far more meaningful than most people realize. And if you enjoy discovering these quiet layers of your dog's world, you're welcome to subscribe and stay close. Chapter 1. Oxytocin and the dog-human bond. Have you ever noticed how a dog can look into your eyes with a calm steadiness that feels almost human? That simple moment does something quiet to you, something you feel before you ever try to explain it. Your shoulders soften, your breath slows, and your dog leans in just a little closer, as if they're moving toward the very thing you're giving off. What's happening between you is more than comfort. It's a shared shift that deepens each time you touch or let them rest against you. And without either of you trying, your bodies begin to mirror each other in a way that strengthens the bond you already rely on. And once you sense that invisible pull, it becomes hard not to wonder what else your dog is saying in moments like this. Chapter 2. Dogs' attachment bonds mirror human infants. Understanding this can help you notice a side of your dog that's been there all along. You start to realize that the way your dog follows you from room to room isn't just habit, but a kind of quiet checking in, the same way a small child glances back to be sure their person is still there. And when they linger by the door as you leave, or melt into you the moment you return, it suddenly feels less like neediness and more like a deep, instinctive relief. Most dogs move through the world with this soft dependence, not because they're unsure, but because you've become the center point of safety they calibrate themselves around. So when they choose to sleep pressed against you, it isn't a quirk or a convenience. It's one of the clearest signs of that internal tether they carry. And once you notice that pattern, you start seeing another one. Chapter 3. Why warmth is not the real reason. Most people assume a dog curls up against them at night because it's warmer. But that idea falls apart the moment you really watch their choices. Your dog has blankets, soft corners, and spots on the couch that hold heat far better than your shifting body ever could. Yet they still choose you. And when you think about how vulnerable sleep actually is for an animal, you start to understand why that choice carries so much weight. A dog settles beside you not for temperature, but for the kind of safety that reaches deeper than instinct and settles into trust. It's their quiet way of saying they can finally let their guard down, because you've become the safest place in the room. And that's when something even older in their history starts to come forward. Chapter 4. Co-evolution of dogs and humans through history. You can almost picture it if you close your eyes for a moment. A small fire burning low, an early human curling into sleep, and a dog-shaped silhouette settling beside them as if it had always belonged there. That image isn't just romantic. It's a shadow of a relationship that formed long before farms, walls, or even the idea of home existed. Over thousands of years, humans and dogs shaped each other simply by surviving side by side, sharing warmth, food, and the kind of unspoken trust that only grows when two species depend on one another every night. And as that bond deepened, the dogs who stayed close, who sought humans out, who understood our signals without needing words, were the ones that kept passing their nature forward. Eventually, that closeness became written into them, not as a trick or training, but as a quiet drive to choose us again and again. And once you see their behavior through that long stretch of shared history, another layer of connection becomes impossible to ignore. Chapter 5. Co-regulation of dog-human nervous systems. There's something calming about knowing that your presence alone can steady your dog in ways you don't even notice. You might feel it when they exhale, and their whole body softens the moment they settle against you, as if your heartbeat gives them permission to relax. And if you pay attention, you'll notice your own body responding too, matching their slower rhythm without any effort at all. It's a quiet exchange, almost like two nervous systems leaning toward each other until they find the same pace. Your dog doesn't do this with strangers, and neither do you, because this kind of mirroring only shows up when there's trust woven deep into the connection. And once you sense that shared settling, you begin to notice how it carries into the way you sleep beside each other. Chapter 6. Sleep research on dogs sharing beds with humans. There's a small kind of comfort that comes from knowing your dog is close enough to hear you breathe at night. You might not think about it often, but that gentle presence can soften the edges of a long day in a way almost nothing else does. And even though your dog shifts, sighs, and sometimes kicks their paws in dreams, the strange thing is that you rarely feel bothered by it the way you would with another person. Instead, their movements blend into the background, becoming part of a rhythm that makes the dark feel less empty and the night feel less sharp. It's as if the emotional safety they provide outweighs every small disruption, creating a sense of ease that doesn't match the data, but makes perfect sense to your heart. And that ease becomes even more revealing when it suddenly changes. Chapter 7. Behavioral and health signals in changes to sleeping patterns. A dog doesn't suddenly change where they sleep without a reason, even if that reason is easy to miss at first. You might notice them choosing the floor instead of the bed one night, or lingering in a hallway they never cared about before. And it can feel like a small quirk until it keeps happening. Sometimes it's something simple, like a shift in the house that unsettles their routine. But other times, it's their body trying to speak before anything looks wrong on the surface. A dog that's uncomfortable, stiff, or quietly in pain will often change their sleeping place long before they limp or cry, because nighttime is when discomfort whispers the loudest. And as dogs grow older, those subtle changes can be early signs that their mind is navigating the world differently, especially when confusion or restlessness begins to replace the easy patterns they once followed. And once you see how much their sleep reveals, it becomes impossible not to look a little closer at the messages tucked inside these quiet choices. There's a soft kind of truth in realizing how much of your dog's world is shaped by the way they feel beside you. And whether or not you've always noticed it, you've already been giving them a sense of belonging they depend on. What they remember most isn't the big moments, but the everyday ways you make them feel safe. So letting yourself lean into that connection can change the way you see each night, each glance, each quiet touch. And once you feel that, it's almost impossible not to wonder what else your dog hopes for across the years you share. Those hopes are gentle, heartfelt, and sometimes hidden in places we overlook. If you want to open that door a little wider, the next story will meet you there.